In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, it's Tuesday evening. It is just a few minutes past the hour right here in beautiful downtown Oklahoma City, and I'm joined by my co-host from Texas, who's back from vacation, Miss Jen, who's had about a 2-week break and left me here all alone. Sad panda.
Some of it was really good, but there were other times where I would have much been happy to be talking with you. But we tried, but it just didn't, service didn't allow.
Yeah, the joys of my hamsters and you being in the mountains, it just didn't really work very well. All right, so folks, in case you're wondering, this is the Jen and Rick Show. We are coming to you live from klnrradio.com. That's right, those of you tuning in, you're probably wondering what the heck happened to K98 Talk. It's a long story and a story for another day. You can get most of my venting about that on last night's America Off the Rails episode. And so, I want to again say welcome back to Miss Jen. You have been missed. It has been a long couple of weeks without you, but I'm glad you had a well-deserved break.
Well, thank you. I think my family and the friends that I was visiting and everything were glad that I wasn't actually juggling too many things, that I was just there to be there. And like you said before, I didn't always have so much connection in the mountains, which was good and bad. It allowed me to unplug and really enjoy my time. But was bad for things like trying to do a radio show.
Yeah, but like I said, sometimes you need a break, and I think that was God's way of saying, hey, take some time, enjoy where you are instead of worrying about this stuff. Because I know
He was saving me from an absolute meltdown during the conventions. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, dude, I swear it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers happened in both of them. It was insane.
So, I mean, it would have been nice to watch the cluster go down, but
no,
I also would have been ripping my hair out.
Honestly, it wasn't much fun to watch. It just really wasn't. It reinforced every decision I've made in the last 6 months, because everybody always talks about how the party switched places in the 60s, and it just everybody says at some point along the way the Democrats became the Republicans and vice versa. I think we're watching the paradigm shift again, because this was like the weirdest set of conventions ever. We had Melania Trump echoing Democratic talking points. We had Hillary Clinton and the Democrats praising the military. I'm really confused. I just want my blankie, and I want to go back to where it's nice and safe, and I know what the hell is going on because I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Just with this whole con thing, and you can say whatever you want to about the parents getting up there and kind of politicizing all of this, but let's not pretend like we don't do that on the right as well, that we don't host families and, particularly parents or spouses of fallen soldiers and use them to prop up some sort of political agenda. It happens on both sides, and you can say whatever you want to about the parents for choosing to do that. One thing that I've found just absolutely abhorrent is the way in which we, the right, Republicans, in order to defend Trump, have gone so far as to be the ones doling out or being able to decide, or they're trying to say which is or isn't considered a heroic death when you die in the line of duty, in order to be able to disparage him because they're mad at the Democrats and his parents and for them attacking Trump. That's outrageous that that's where the Republican Party is and where we want to go, where we're the ones not saying it doesn't matter how they died in the line of duty, as long as they were serving honorably. It was an honorable and a heroic death, and one in which they sacrificed their lives for, and we should all be indebted and grateful. And instead, we're attacking his family and attacking his service and saying, well, he didn't really die heroically just because he died while he was a soldier. It's blowing my mind that that's where we're at, because we have to defend this abhorrent nominee. And not you and I mean we in the Republican sense is what I mean.
Oh, no, I know what you mean. No worries. And actually,
we're not defending it.
I have been having a lot of the same conversations with everyone that I know and the scariest thing about it is it just seems like everybody's lost their way with this one. I mean, like you said, say what you want about the fact that the parents chose to publicize their son's death, but let's not forget why they publicized their son's death. If Donald Trump had his way from the way he's talking, then neither they nor their son would be here. So he wouldn't have been able to make the sacrifice that he chose to make. And that's the thing that I don't think anybody understands about, and nobody's going to understand it unless they've done a job like being a police officer, firefighter, first responder, somebody in the military, somebody who willingly puts on a uniform every day and knows that they're running the risk that they may not come home that day, and yet they report to work every day anyway because they're there to make a difference and they know it. So to say that just because And I don't remember who it was, but somebody put out a tweet that just completely set me over the edge, and it was somebody that's fairly well known. And he was like, well, just because he died, that by definition makes him a soldier, not a hero, because dying in the line of duty is what's expected of a soldier, or some such other crap like that. And I came unglued, because that is so far away from who I was told the Republican Party is. And it goes back to what I've been saying now for 2 weeks. I feel like I've been living a lie for the last 7 years, because I'm watching all of these people that used to talk about the Republican Party and used to talk about what it was and what it was supposed to stand for and how it was supposed to be. But all they ever do now is disparage and complain and argue, and they're negative about everything. And I mean everything. There isn't a positive thing right now that the Republican Party is talking about. We've always talked about how we can't keep being the party of the negative. We missed the memo on that somewhere, because we've officially become the full-on party of the negative, and it's insane.
Yeah, it's snowballed to a point that obviously that I think there's no return from. And I don't know how not just this party, but even the conservative movement really recovers, where I can't even, I'm just stuttering because I can't even put it into words how like dumbfounded I am that we're at this, like we're in this position, that we're at this place, and that everything basically has been thrown out the window and we've forsaken all of it. It's insane to me.
I mean, I look at all the people that I used to look up to in the party, and not even necessarily in the party, but more of like the media wing of the party, like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and all those people that I used to look up to. A lot of the ones that have inspired me to do what I've been doing now for the last 7 years, because I heard what they were doing and I knew there was a way for us to be able to do it too. And I had no idea of how to get it done. So, I mean, I've been stumbling around in the dark for about the first 2 years. I've been making a pretty solid run at it now for about the last 5. But now I'm watching all of these people that have become everything they said they used to not stand for, especially Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh has essentially become everything that he used to make fun of. And I don't understand what's happening in this country anymore, because it's like everybody's become a parody of what they said they stood for. It's all become so extreme that nobody really knows what they stand for anymore. They just know that we're against this guy, so therefore we have to say these things and we have to do these things, and we're against Hillary, so whatever they do at the convention, we have to talk down about it. Look, Trump didn't, no matter what you think about what that kid's parents said, Trump didn't have to respond. As a presidential candidate, he didn't have to respond. He could have said a presidential thing and said, look, everybody in this country is entitled to First Amendment rights and the ability to say whatever they choose. And I honor their son and his sacrifice, and that's all I'm going to say on that. And if that would have been what he'd done, he would have taken all of it away from them. Because everybody knew what they were trying to do when they started pulling out the flags and having people read off the names of fallen soldiers and having them up on the stage. Everybody knew what they were trying to do. They were reaching out to disenfranchised Republicans because they were like, hey, we can be patriotic too. Come over here. But they couldn't, because even when they were trying to do those things, there were all kinds of shady things going on behind the scenes. I actually had a protester on my show last Friday, the America Off the Rails show, that was actually part of the Bernie Sanders protest. And when Bernie Sanders made that announcement, a lot of his delegation left. When his delegation left, they were forced and kept from returning to come back in. They actually put out an ad on Craigslist to fill the empty seats. Oddly enough, for $50 a seat. Same thing that they were picking on Trump for. But the thing about that is there are so many different shady things that are going on everywhere anymore that I don't know which ends up anymore, because at least...
To the point of, how he could have responded that would not have been so derogatory, or just had been something for media to, fodder over. All we have to do is look to several other presidents. Look to George W. Bush and his statements on Cindy Sheehan. Look at Bill Clinton. There were several spouses that came out after, it was kind of known that he possibly took some military action and some lives were sacrificed in order to turn heads away from the Lewinsky scandal. The ways in which that they responded to those critics and to the families of soldiers that died was with the utmost respect and class. And even if they were being viciously attacked by them and being called all sorts of names and being screamed at on the, in the media, they handled it presidentially, like you said. They handled it like statesmen, and they did not lash out and then blame the surviving family members of a fallen soldier, which is just the most atrocious part of it all.
I mean, it's just completely insane. I mean, I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself here, but I don't know any other way to put it. This is nuts. To have someone who wants to be president of the United States and the leader of the Republican Party denigrate someone for their service by attacking their parents it's abhorrent. It's unfathomable that we've made it to this point in this country where and again, I honestly feel like I have been just completely misled for the last. Actually, I've been a registered Republican up until 6 months ago, since I was 18. I'm honestly starting to wonder how long it's been this way, and I just refuse to see it. Because there's no way this cropped up overnight. There's no way that the alt-right movement hasn't been sitting there festering this entire time. There's no way that we haven't had people that have been so angry that they can't see the forest for the trees anymore. But unfortunately, Trump is giving voice to those people instead of weeding them out. We've had other candidates.
That's the thing.
Go ahead.
You're hitting it right on the head, though. Yes, have they been there? Absolutely. Are they waiting around for the right person? Of course they were. And boom, here he is. Giving them everything they want on a silver platter. And not just that, but I mean with bells and whistles to boot.
I don't know. I mean, I played some of the audio from both their talk at the DNC and Trump's response last night on Off the Rails, and I'm still floored. I don't understand how we got to this point. And like I said, you can say what you want about them choosing to politicize their son's death, but let's not forget, he's the one that was saying he wanted to ban all Muslims from coming into the country. Not just when he first started saying it, he wasn't talking about the radical ones. He said all Muslims. He said we should ban them all until we know what's going on. Now, of course, he's backed off of that, much like he has everything else that he's ever said while he's been running for president. Now he's talking about banning people based on regions of the world that they come from. And I have to admit, I wish he would have said it that way in the first place, because that's what a lot of folks are bringing up when they start talking about banning people from coming into the country is when Carter did it in the 70s. He actually banned the entire group of Libyan people from coming into the country because of everything that was going on in Libya. Nobody threw a fit about that, but that's an easy one. That's a passport. That's a geographical location. You're not banning an entire people for their religion. Whether we like their religion or not, this country was founded on religious freedom. It's their decision as to how they try to worship, who they try to worship, and when they try to worship, and we shouldn't be forcing that.
Not to mention the idea that you can pinpoint who someone is. And when you go into a religious aspect, it's one thing to say from this section of the world or from this country that has, is notoriously antagonistic towards us. Even then, we usually still have protocols for allowing, sanctuary for members that are wishing to leave out of their safety or political, religious, or otherwise persecution. It's absurd to think, though, that we can just say something like a religion. Like, translate that into banning Christians. How do you know? How do you decide? I mean, you answer on a checklist. So if you know that it's banned, why on earth would you say, yeah, I'm a Christian? You can't just tell it by looking at someone or the way they dress. So that is an indicator when it comes to Islam. It can be an indicator, but it doesn't have to be. So it's just it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous to think that you could even do that, even if there was some sort of justification behind it, which there isn't.
Awesome. Sorry, actually, I got distracted by the station manager sending me a message. Bear with me for just a moment. shoot you a link. I figured out something they need to fix, so I don't want to give this out yet. But our show page is live. And I was just getting the announcement about that. And I saw something. So, yeah. But anyway, here, you can... I actually like it other than something I just noticed. I'm really liking the new digs, but it's taken a lot of hard work to get them ready to go. And, all right, so anyway, sorry about that, folks. Distracted. Got distracted by an instant message. Completely lost my train of thought. Jen, save me.
I'm sorry. No, I was wrapping up. So I think we all know. I think we've kind of beat this to death. So.
Yeah, I think it's about time we actually move on to one of the scheduled topics for the evening. And actually, sorry, I was just getting help fixing an issue here. So, along with all the craziness from the conventions everywhere else, all the Trump moving more towards the establishment, doing all the crazy things that he did, and the call for the floor vote being quashed, and all the other crazy things that happened at that convention and the Democratic one alike, we now have something, and I'm going to back it up a little bit and play something from a couple of months ago, and then we're going to talk about something that happened today. I can never make the system listen to me.
Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, has now officially endorsed Donald Trump, penned an op-ed which posted right as she started speaking in his hometown paper, the Janesville Gazette. Let me just read for folks who aren't aware. Part of this, he writes, it's no secret that he and I have our differences. I won't pretend otherwise. And when I feel the need to, I'll continue to speak my mind. But the reality is, on the issues that make up our agenda, we have more common ground than disagreements. As far as timing, Ed, orchestration, today of all days, was this planned?
Okay, we don't really need to let them finish talking. That was from about 2 months ago when Paul Ryan released an op-ed over the weekend and said he was reluctantly endorsing Trump. This is, of course, after several weeks of him saying he wasn't ready to do it. There was even one point when I believe there was people that were leaning towards the fact that he might possibly even say that he thought Hillary was more qualified, etc. But he did at one point decide to put party above his personal feelings and endorsed Donald Trump. However, it has been made perfectly clear and perfectly well known today that Donald Trump cannot put his personal feelings aside and not put party above self, which is exactly what he was mad at Cruz for not doing. So I'm a little confused. I'm starting to feel like the guy who's watching a bunch of people in glass houses throw all kinds of stones.
Right. So this is where any of us that have kind of had our tinfoil hat on, or people that have just outright said for a long time, like, he's once a Democrat, always a Democrat. He's a friend of the Clintons. He's in it to help Hillary win. All those kinds of things, all the little conspiracy kind of crap seems to be, I don't know how much truer it could become. And even if that's not what it's in his heart of hearts, he's certainly assisting her in all sorts of ways beyond just his boorish manner and crazy headlines and outrageous get the baby out of here. I love babies. I'm just kidding, but make it leave. I don't like them thing that happened today too. He has now said, basically he's now actively working against Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. He's said that he will destroy Kasich's political future, who's not in Congress. So we're mainly talking about the congressman right now, and then Paul Ryan and John McCain today. He has said he will not endorse them, and he basically does not want them back. So this is a pure case. This is a case of pure ego. It's narcissistic. It's I was bruised by something they've said or done at some point, or they didn't support me enthusiastically enough. They didn't kiss the ring, so now I'm going to retaliate. It is vindictive. And if this holds true, and if he actively works against them, if he puts out a pack on Cruz, if he maybe even takes those steps towards Ryan and Paul, but Paul Ryan and John McCain, I don't even think he needs to. All he has to do is rally his base around screw them, screw them, screw them. Then he is trying to unseat them, which will leave a void that will most likely be filled by Democrats. Most of these guys are not going to lose their primary, which means they will lose the main race. If they lose their races, that will put a Democrat in instead, which means he really doesn't give a darn if Congress gets a Democratic majority. If we lose a Republican majority in the House or in the Senate or both, he does not care as long as he is able to put his political enemies, people that he feels have wronged him in some way or have not done enough for him, he can put them in their place and sabotage their place in Congress. And that's scary. That's dangerous. And it's just par for the course. It's a whole other thing of like, well, I guess maybe he just wants Clinton and the Dems to win after all. I mean, how can you not help but think it when behaving this way?
No, I mean, completely. And for a moment, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat back on for a second because I think this actually serves two purposes for Trump. I really do. I think that one of the things he's doing is exactly what it looks like he's doing to those of us that are paying attention, and that is setting out, in a second I'll remember how to talk, to destroy the people that would not endorse him or support him once he won the nomination. But I also believe in my heart that at this point, this is also a gambit for him to prove to his base, the crazy ones, that he didn't become establishment. Because now everybody looks at McCain, who he also is refusing to endorse, and Ryan as parts of the establishment. So by him bucking that and saying, I'm not going to endorse these people, not only is he signaling to everybody that's paying attention that, hey, he really doesn't care about the GOP and he's going to do everything he can to destroy his enemies because that's what he does, that's who he is, but he's signaling to the people that have bought into it, have drunk the Kool-Aid and are lulled to sleep by the Pied Piper's song that, hey, see, look, I'm not establishment. I'm not endorsing these two, and everybody knows that they're establishment, so that proves that I'm not establishment. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's really crazy. And then you've got people like Gingrich and the epitome of establishment that are standing next to him, arm in arm, and he's still saying that I'm not establishment and I want to buck the establishment. And it's like, but you're not actually. And all you're doing is harming the party and the movement that you're supposed to be standing for, that you're the nominee of, which we all know is just a big old joke. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the platform. He doesn't care about Republicans in Congress. He doesn't care about congressional control. And if, we've been told that he's going to appoint the big thing is like Hillary and the judges and who she'll nominate to the Supreme Court and who he will. Well, all of that can just go right to hell if we lose, a congressional majority because of Donald Trump, because he actively campaigns against our own congressmen and senators. That is insane. So we might possibly, even if, let's just say, which I don't believe for any reason whatsoever he would, but let's just say he puts up an amazing conservative choice for the Supreme Court. You've got a Congress controlled by the Democrats. I mean, they'll get borked in no time. This is not hard to understand. We, as Republicans, often do not block appointments the way that Democrats do us because they have no remorse. They take no prisoners. We have often operated from a place of more civility and, a lot of people will say weakness that has given us something like Trump. But there's been more negotiations. The left doesn't like to do that. And they certainly will not with Donald Trump. They will take him to the end of the line every time.
It just amazes me and the thing about it is Trump, I don't know if Trump is dumb or if he just pretends to be dumb. I really can't tell. I'm usually...
I go back and forth. I go back and forth that he's either like mastermind, manipulative, brilliant narcissist, or that he's just, oh my gosh.
Potato. I don't know. I'm usually really good at reading people, but there's 1 second where you just feel like he's just got in a room somewhere, and when nobody's looking, he's just sitting there, just completely slack-faced, drool running down his chin, and then he realizes the camera's back on, so he snaps out of it. Or he's completely a mad genius, and I don't know which one it is, but both of the fact that he could be either one completely scares me, because he has single-handedly, and nobody wants to admit this yet, but he has single-handedly destroyed the Republican Party. I mean, there is no way at this point for a conservative to ever feel at home in the in the Republican Party again. There's not. It's over.
And beyond that, and I think it goes beyond that. I think he's also destroyed so much work and so much progress that has been made by the conservative movement, by all of those people that went out for the Tea Party or other such grassroots efforts. He has just stomped on all of those efforts, and he has thrown a big finger in the face of anyone that wants to stand on principles and hold our elected officials accountable for anything. And in the name of going after rhinos, in the name of securing the border, the law and order candidate, whatever. No, he has just pissed on all of it. And I think he has broken down the right in a way that I can see one of two things happening. A large faction that have held steadfast against the Trump train will rise up with a fire like has never been seen before, and completely boldly dominate some areas with new media, and then possibly with candidates, or the right never recovers.
I'm voting for that. I'm voting for that first one. I'm voting for the first one.
Huh?
I said I'm voting for the first one.
I sure do hope so. There's just so many things that have to fall together correctly, and there's so many people that have to work together that have previously not wanted to and not liked each other and not been exactly square on all the things together.
Libertarians were looking at you.
Yes, pretty much. Yep.
Dude, you know what? I have had the head of the Libertarian Party on my show now twice. Really great guy, fun to talk to, but one of the scariest things that he talked to me about that I can't really say too much about because I promised him it would be off the record was the main reason why their group as a whole didn't go for Austin Peterson. Maybe at some point I'll get his permission to talk about it, but since we talked about it off air, I promised him I wouldn't. But it's one of the reasons why at this point I'm really not sure which direction we're going to wind up going by the time it's all said and done. But one thing that I do know is that we need to start bringing more choices to the table because there's more than two ways to fix a problem. And if we could actually get enough voices heard, maybe we could start bringing in... We're either going to give it away completely to the crazy folks or we're going to actually bring in some sane people to fix things. And at this point, I don't know which way it's going to go. But on this note, we have really got to take a break. I have one last thing, and then we're going to have to play some commercials, pay some bills. For those of you that keep telling me third party can't work, if third party didn't work, Donald Trump would be running as a wig, which might make more sense with his hair. Just saying. And on that note, folks, we have got to pay some bills. We'll be right back. You are listening to the Jen and Rick Show right here on K98 Talk. I did it. I knew I was going to do it. KLRNradio.com. My bad. I knew I was going to do it at least once. I've been training all week and still flubbed it. Nice. We'll be right back, folks.
'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. This is still the Jim and Rick Show. And no, we're not on the station that I said right before we went to break. We are on KLRNradio.com now. So make sure you come check us out there. Check out the new digs. Great new website. Want to thank the hostmaster, webmaster, whatever they want to call themselves, and all the production crew working behind the scenes to make the site amazing. But anyway, so we've got a really serious topic to close out the show with for once, but I thought we could poke fun at Mr. Trump one last time. What were you mentioning when we were on break, my dear?
Okay, so, today Trump kicked a baby out of his rally. So basically, and I just have to read exactly what he said. He said, "I love babies. I hear that baby cry. I like it. What a baby. What a beautiful baby. Don't worry. The mom's running around like, don't worry about it. It's young and beautiful and healthy, and that's what we want." Then he says, a few minutes later, as the baby continues to cry, he says, "Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. I think she really believed me that I love having a baby crying while I'm speaking. That's okay. People don't understand. That's okay. What? So, which, by the way, as a mom, that it does not offend me. I often would like to tell people that have a baby just screaming, it's not your fault that the baby's screaming, but if there is a lobby or an outside area to step to or anything other than where you're just like confined, like a bus or a plane or something, then you should take that option. Obviously, like you wait a few minutes to see if you can calm them down, but when it's obvious they're not calming down, be courteous and take a walk. So I do get that. I'm not like completely just being a jerk here about it, but I found it really, so everyone's talking about the baby thing and like, he won't even, how rude it was or this or that. I don't really care. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's kind of a controversy, but it's something to talk about. But what I did find interesting was Planned Parenthood in a move that lacked all self-awareness, says, add babies to the list of people at Real Donald Trump would kick out of his campaign rallies. So I quote tweeted them at one point and said, as opposed to dismembering them, which you would have supported.
Ouch. All right, so speaking of really crazy things with babies, we have got a topic we've got to talk about. As sad as it is to talk about, it just has to be done. So there has been a story going all day about Miss, I believe her name is pronounced Corinne Gaines, who actually was involved in a standoff with Baltimore police officers today, I believe. And it was just completely insane. So we're going to back up a little bit, kind of give you a glimpse of what started all this, and then kind of go from there. So this is some audio and, it was a video, but now it's audio for you guys because we're not on TV, of a traffic stop that she was involved in back in March and the things that she had to say then.
Okay, right. All right, that's fine. I have family that will take care of them, and I have family that know who I am, and I already warned them about this day, okay? I'm not afraid of y'all. I don't know what the y'all don't get. You can get your wish. When you put your hands on me, I promise you, you will have to murder me. You will have to murder me, so go ahead and get ready to do that. You will have to kill me. I promise you.
All right, so that was a traffic stop. Based on that traffic stop, and I believe a couple other situations, she actually had court dates that she failed to appear for. So today, the Baltimore police were trying to execute a bench warrant to have her arrested and brought before a magistrate to appear for the charges that she originally evaded. Now, during that time frame, this exchange occurred, and this is with her 5-year-old son.
What's happening right now? Who's outside?
The police.
And what are they trying to do? It's charging. What are they trying to do?
Trying to kill us.
I'm sorry, dear. I can hear you said no.
It's good. Do you want to go out there? Yes. Oh. Okay. What do you want to do?
Yes.
I can put this on her.
All right, so for the record, that audio was not altered at all. I did amplify the part where the child was speaking because he was speaking very softly just so that you guys could hear what he was actually saying. Now, for the record, again, I believe this child is around the age of 5, and he has been convinced that the police are not there to help, but they've come to kill him, both him and his mother. Now, the thing to keep in mind with this is while she's talking to her son about these things, what you can't see, because again it's audio and not the video, is while she was doing these things, she was loading a shotgun that she then eventually pointed at police officers. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. She then opted to fire that weapon. With her 5-year-old son in the house, she fired at police officers. And there are people now that, because she has been shot, that have made shot and killed, and the son was wounded. The press conference, I don't think we'll have time to play all the audio, but in the press conference, they actually talked about, as of now, they're not certain whether he was hit by one of the officer's weapons or maybe some shrapnel from the shotgun firing, which, considering I think she had him on her lap, if I'm hearing the stories correctly, it is entirely possible that he may have been hit by something coming out of the shotgun, because you're not supposed to be that close to the barrel of a long rifle when you fire it. So there's no telling exactly what happened, because apparently whatever happened with him, it's not considered a life-threatening injury. But again, I want to reiterate two things. Even in the original traffic stop back in March, she was already under the assumption that she was going to be killed. She's now passed that belief on to her son, who watched police kill her mother because she wouldn't surrender for a frickin' bench warrant. A bench warrant, people. There are things that may be worth dying for. A bench warrant is not one of them. I don't care what color your skin is. If you got a court date, go to court. It's pretty simple. Don't point a gun at police. It's pretty simple.
Well, and let's be, factual about all of these things. It's not just, so the bench warrant was issued. So they went to execute it. And everyone is crying, on the left, and the social justice warriors are saying, you don't deserve to be killed over a traffic violation. Okay, well, you just played part of that of that traffic violation, which occurred on March 10th, 2016, in which she was pulled over because she had no license plate. What did her license plate, or what did it say instead? Let me read it to you, because it's kind of, oh my goodness. She had a piece of cardboard in the place of a license plate that said, any government official who compromises this pursuit to happiness and right to travel will be held criminally responsible and fined, as this is a natural right to freedom. What? Yeah, that's right there. That's right there next to where the Second Amendment says musket, the right to drive your car without a license plate. What?
We hold these truths to be self-evident. Having a car, making a car have a license plate is oppressive. Right.
So then,
is that the same line of thinking that says making them have an ID is oppressive to be able to vote?
Yes, so here we go. That's where we're headed. So then she resists arrest, and we heard where she says, they're here to kill us, they're going to kill you, they're going to kill me, and then she tells the officers that they'd have to kill her before she'd get out of the car. She does this with two kids in the car, not just the 5-year-old, but there was an infant in the car too. So she is actively and willingly putting her children at risk and in danger by not complying with police officers and with, quite frankly, what seems like trying to instigate something so that she can have something like this happen. Anyways, this was not just a traffic violation. She resisted arrest, had no license plate. So she was charged with far more than just running a stop sign or whatever they would have you believe by saying, oh, just for a traffic vio. So then she's in the home and she again puts her child at risk. And there was another child that was in there, which we still think is maybe the baby. None of this has been confirmed that she has the second child that's an infant. And that child was removed when the boyfriend left the house with the infant. And police arrested him. And get this, they arrested him because they were serving a warrant for him as well for second-degree assault, which was from a domestic altercation with Gaines that he failed to appear for. So this is quite the pair of these two.
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, even outlining all of those things, why was it necessary to get into a shootout with police officers with your children or child in the home?
That's the thing. It doesn't matter what you believe about any of it. If you think she was in the right about it being like, oh, they shouldn't have stormed her house, she was just offending, or whatever crap you want to say. The second that she pulled a weapon and decided to be combative with police and not comply and make this a standoff with a child in the home. She was acting recklessly and she was putting that child in danger, and she was being a negligent parent. So the best thing for her to have done was to put that weapon down and then deal with the repercussions of what was happening and, fight whatever injustice she perceived. But we know that from previous things, and also all of her social media postings, there are ones in which she has, she refers to the police. She, by the way, she's always filming, and it's like she tries to get pulled over so she can film. And she taught her 5-year-old son or 4 or 5-year-old son how to operate the camera to film when she couldn't, whenever she was in a situation with police officers. And in one of them, she refers to them as her kidnappers, and that they're her kidnappers, that they tried to take her son. And after they kidnapped her, and then they tried to kidnap her son, that they confiscated her phone and held it for ransom, and that ransom being bail for her to get out of jail in order to get her property back. So obviously, I don't think we're dealing with a very sane person here. The police have said multiple times now in that press conference, they say that they did consult with mental health professionals that guided them in certain ways to de-escalate the situation. But part of the problem is that she was being egged on social media. People were active. She was interacting with people on social media who were telling her not to comply and to fight the police. And that is shocking and scary.
I know. I mean, people really need to let that sink in for a second, because honestly, anyone who was telling her that she should be fighting the police, they should be able to pull the logs of those conversations. And all of the people that were saying, hey, fight the police, stand up for what you believe in, blah, 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 they should be held accountable for her death, because, I mean, they were ultimately egging her on, and that's part of the reason why I think she ultimately cracked. I mean, let's face it, from even just those few seconds of an exchange that we got both in the traffic stop and during the standoff, she was not a very sane person. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody who is basically just egging the police on to kill them obviously doesn't necessarily want to be alive in the first place. There is actually a syndrome called suicide by cop. I have a feeling that there's a good possibility she may have been suffering from that. Why else would you place your child in harm's way and instead of allowing yourself to be arrested when you know there's just as good a chance that your child may be killed as you?
Right. And I think that maybe that's part of this mental health aspect, is that she didn't have a real regard for life, or maybe wasn't quite with it enough to understand the dire consequences and the fatal consequences of her actions, because they've said, and they're trying to determine whether it was deliberate or not, but that multiple times throughout this, they could see her that she had the weapon pointed in the direction of the kid. So I don't think that this person rationally understood firearms or dealings with the police in such a deadly way. I mean, it's very, very sad. I thank goodness the children are okay, but putting her up like a martyr, which I think is what she wanted, it serves no purpose. It doesn't help anybody in the situation, and it just further creates a divide, a dishonest divide between the African American community and law enforcement.
And that's the part that I think upsets me the most, is the fact that we are now at this point watching an entire generation of a race of people that will do nothing but despise police officers. And it's because, and we've already seen this beginning, but it's gotten to the point now where it's completely out of control. I mean, I've talked to people that are either nearing the age of 30 or pretty close to the age of 30 that already have an avid distrust of police because of the things that have become more prevalent once we became the connected society that we are now. And I understand those things need to be dealt with. I understand that there are legitimate issues. But it's just like I keep trying to tell everyone else. There are bad people in every profession. You can't keep holding the rest of the profession accountable for the stupid people. If we did that, then we might as well just arrest everybody because, I mean, if you're going to hold the entire police force accountable for the few acts of bad people, then why isn't an entire town arrested when somebody commits murder?
Right. And I would also like to point out, for anyone that has not followed this very closely, this started around 9:40 in the morning, and it resulted in her death around 3 p.m. So we're talking about almost, over half the day was spent trying to negotiate with her and trying to de-escalate this situation. This is not a thing where they went in, guns a-blazing, knocked down her door, immediately went after her, and she tried to defend herself or was scared and taken by surprise. They went to serve these warrants in a calm and typical manner, and then had to call in task force and everything else because of what she then did, and held her son hostage. So you're talking about, like hours that they tried to straighten this out. This was not a situation that was handled with any sort of flippant disregard or in a hasty manner. And that's important. That's an important distinction to make. I think the way it's being portrayed in a lot of media is you think that they just kind of stormed in, tried to serve the warrant. She was resistant and they shot her. And that's not what happened at all.
But that is pretty much exactly how it's being portrayed in a lot of media. All right, so believe it or not, we are already almost out of time, as we do every night as we start wrapping up here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can interact with you should they choose to do so?
All right. Well, now that I'm back, you will mostly find me on Twitter at J Homestead. You can find me on Facebook, J.R. Homestead, and always over at misfitpolitics.weebly.com.
All right, and I am Rick Robinson, still plodding along on Twitter at AOTR_host. New email address, you can still reach me at ricky@thesparkradionetwork.com, but obviously the old one is no longer functional, so we can now also be reached at rick@klrnradio.com. And of course, you can send me a friend request on my professional Facebook page. You can find that just by searching for Rowdy Ricky Robinson, or you can go like the America Off the Rails Facebook page, which is about to get a bit of a facelift and a little bit of a changeover. For those of you who haven't noticed yet, we have recently redesigned the graphic for that show, and we're about to change up the intro a little bit. Speaking of which, as soon as we take a little bit of a commercial break, I'll be back with you live for the next hour on America Off the Rails. So again, want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here on Tuesday night on our new home, KLRN Radio, right here for the Jen and Rick Show. And I hope everybody has a great night. For everybody who wants to hang around and have a little late night party, stick around with me. I'll be back with you here as soon as we take a break, and we'll keep on trucking. But other than that, hope to see you guys around, and hope you enjoy the new website and all the new things that we have coming. Lots of things we haven't announced yet, but we do have a lot of things in the works. And I hope everybody has a great night. Take care, and God bless.
Now, you know I wouldn't if I could, 'cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.